Pat Mayo Hour.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Hour mini edition for UFC 203 from the Cleve. We got CM Punk on this card, Cody Saftik. We are keeping the show around. I was going to get rid of it in full-length form, and that's what we've done, but now it's just going to be DK rosters only, cash and GPP. The people said they wanted to keep it. I, frankly, was stunned.
I know. They just want to hear the info, but I like the nice banter. So, speaking of which, they're going to Cleveland. Have you ever met anybody who's been to Cleveland? I feel like that's somewhere people avoid or just don't go to.
Well, it's becoming the city of champions now.
Now it is. You got Stipe, the champion from Ohio, and King LeBron bringing the title back.
King James is back there. The Indians are looking good. I'm not so sure about RG3 and the Browns, but we'll see about that as the season goes forward.
He left my team, the Redskins, so I hope they absolutely bomb the season and he blows both of his knees out again.
You shouldn't say that.
I know. But you never
But now you're a disgruntled fan.
I'm a Maple Leafs fan. We've given away guys that end up good. I'm a Jays fan. Oh, here's our best prospect. Take them. I'm sick and tired of that, Pat, okay? So if you want RG3, take him, and I just hope he's a total bust here.
All right, well, let's start with your cash game. Cash game last week not only won every cash game by finishing in first, at least everyone when I was in, I also entered the cash game in a bunch of GPPs, and it turned out to be a big-time GPP winner. Anyone that used the cash lineup last week in GPPs, I bet you they won a lot of money, because I did.
Yeah, you know what? I had a good positive reaction from the fans online. They were basically like, hey, good way to end like the season because you were teasing, the last episode. But hey, we're on a roll. You got to keep the roll going.
I think that's the thing. I think because it won last week, people wanted to see the show back. But hit me with the cash game lineup now. All right, before we get into the actual cash games, Cody fucked it up and put way too many good guys on his team. Apparently, salary cap doesn't mean anything to him. So he's going to talk about Werdum. Werdum is not on the team. Brad Tavares is on the team. The graphics will show that, but if you're listening to the audio version, I'd like to clear that up now before we start, and then you can just laugh at Cody for taking this guy who's not actually on his team. Okay? All right, back to it.
Okay, we're starting out with Fabricio Werdum, $10,700. Listen, obviously this guy's going to be a bit of a risky take in that he's fighting at heavyweight, but he's taking on Travis Browne together. Hasn't looked good in the last number of fights. I mean, you talk about this guy's chin. These guys fought already one time. It was 2 years ago. The fight was a 5-round fight, and literally, other than the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the fight, Fabricio Werdum clowned him, played with him, ate him up, beat him down over the course of 25 minutes, so 23 minutes of just pure, utter domination, really, when you think about it. Now they're far removed. Now, as you can see on the poster behind me, Fabricio Werdum, wait a second, he's not getting ready to take on Travis Browne. He's taking on Ben Rothwell. Nope, Ben Rothwell out. Travis Browne taking the fight on 4 weeks' notice. He fought at UFC 200 at the beginning of the summer, and he got knocked out, not in devastating fashion, but knocked out pretty badly by Cain Velasquez. So now he goes home, mopes on himself for a little bit, phone rings, yeah, I'll take this fight, jumps in on short notice. He keeps doing a lot of interviews, Pat, where he's talking about, well, I'm on short notice. So you've already got a pre-built excuse. Okay, that's fine by me. He took shots in that first fight with Fabricio Werdum that probably should have knocked out most guys, but he took them. He showed off a great chin. That chin has since left him ever so slightly, so I think Fabricio Werdum hits him. I think he puts him down. Moving down, Nick Lentz.
My favorite name in all of MMA. Nick Lentz.
Nick Lentz. Yes, tough, durable guy, former Division I wrestler out of Minnesota, former state wrestling champion out of Minnesota. This guy's tough, he's durable, he's gritty. Once again, he's in a situation here where he's getting ready to take on, I believe, Merabek Taisumov, right? Who's a fantastic fighter, great guy. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know what? I'm getting Michael McBride on short notice. Now, Michael McBride's a submission guy. Michael McBride's not exactly the biggest threat out there. He's taken, as I mentioned, on short notice. And he's a guy that...
He's 8-1.
He's 8-1, and he normally gets guys down. He submits them. When you talk to him, where is he from? Iowa. So they talk to him about, well, how'd you get into fighting? And he's like, well, I'm from Iowa, and everybody in Iowa knows how to wrestle, so I got into it. Now, with that pedigree and that background, he can take guys down on the regional scene, and he can submit them. He's beaten a decent level of guys, but not an overly high level of guys. His only loss to Emmanuel Sanchez, he's a good guy. So, once again, you don't really know what you're getting fully out of Michael McBride, but you know what you're getting out of Nick Lentz. And the fact is this guy's jumping in on short notice to take on a stud like Lentz. And on top of all that, what's this guy's path to victory? Get the fight to the ground and submit him. Nick Lentz, as I mentioned, former D1 wrestler out of Minnesota, he's not going down easy, man. In fact, I don't think he's going down at all. He's been spending a lot of time working on his hands. He trains at American Top Team, which I know we always talk about that. And I just feel like even though he's not traditionally a finisher, I think this is a fantastic spot for him to get the finish in, whether that be by submission or knockout. I think he takes McBride into the second round, tires him out, pounds him out. I do very much like Nick Lentz.
Stipe over Overeem in the main event makes your cash team. And your GPP team is a spoiler alert for a bit later on.
Yeah, Overeem, more like overrated.
He beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, which is your guy. So that's how you know Overeem, right? Because
It is.
You just know all the guys that have fought in Brock
Brock
Lesnar. Fair enough. As you failed to mention at the top of the show, Pat Mayo doesn't know a whole lot about MMA. Alistair Overeem.
Hey, I know who to listen to about MMA and win the monies.
Yeah, I know.
That's why we do the show.
Alistair Overeem's a very unique case. Everyone's accusing the guy of being on steroids.
He looks like he's on steroids.
Right, and then he comes out with this thing, and he's like, oh, I'm not on steroids. They're like, well, you put on like 50 pounds, man. And he's like, oh, I eat horse meat, which I think is just a way of saying takes steroids. I can't prove it, but I think that's actually what that means. So anyways, now he comes to the UFC, and even though he's supposed to be juiced up, even though he's apparently a cheater, he gets knocked out by Bigfoot Silva, and he gets knocked out by Travis Browne, and he gets knocked out by Ben Rothwell. And then all of a sudden, nobody's allowed to cheat anymore. He's on a high roll again. It's crazy how that happens, where it's like, everyone was calling him a cheater, but fact of the matter is, everyone's cheating, right? So now that nobody can cheat, he's technically superior than all of them. So now he's on a roll again. But you can't forget the fact that, A, he's coming off 3 devastating knockout losses in not his last couple performances, but in his run in the UFC, he's got 3 devastating knockout losses, so that's not great. The punches that landed on him, especially in that Ben Rothwell fight, almost like a half shot. The guy's got 14 career losses, Pat. So beatable? Yes, very beatable. And out of those 14 knockouts,
41 wins. This guy has had a lot of fights.
On top of that, he's got a pro kickboxing career, so I believe this is his 87th fight. Now, long in the tooth, a guy that's been knocked out in the gym and knocked out in fighting, let's say a combined close to 15 times he's been knocked out. His chin, it ain't there, but at heavyweight you can get away with it because he hits so hard that he can knock guys out. And listen, Stipe Miocic, how does he lose his fights? Well, Stefan Struve knocked him out, and, a guy like Junior Dos Santos completely beat the crap out of him, yet Overeem has got a knockout win over Stefan Struve and a knockout win over Junior Dos Santos. So that's just what the division we're playing with here. We're playing with a division where the guys are so big and so powerful, if they hit you, they're going to go down. But what do we say with Barnett and Arlovsky? Barnett's got the better chin. So the longer this fight goes, he'll be able to take advantage of it, and he'll be able to get the job done. I feel very much the same here. Stipe Miocic will have a dogfight with him. He'll get hit with some hot stuff. He might be bleeding a little bit, but that Ohio crowd's going to cheer him on. He's going to feel that extra burst, and in a 25-minute-long fight, you want the better athlete. And he's leaps and bounds the better athlete.
Next player.
So moving on from that cash game. So as we talked about, we've got Fabricio, we've got Nick Lentz, we've got Stipe Miocic. We're going with Jessica the Evil Eye. She's another girl from Ohio, right? She trains with Stipe Miocic at Strong Style Fight Team. So she's going to have that crowd behind her. Now, when you watch her in performances where she's confident, Pat, she's very technically sound. You watch her against a girl like Sarah Kaufman, against Leslie Smith, she can pace them up with good technical boxing skills. Problem is, she starts taking on wrestlers. And when she takes on a wrestler like Juliana Pena or Sarah McMahon or Misha Tate, she starts to second-guess herself because she's thinking, the takedown. And as a result, she don't let her hands go. And it's really cost her. So now she's lost a couple fights here. Her back's up against the fence. She needs a win. And they're giving her a good, winnable fight in her own backyard. So she needs to capitalize on that. And I don't read into this much, but she's got a sports psychiatrist. And apparently, it has very much helped her because she's just not sure of herself. She's not certain. But he's really allowing her to, hey, listen, you enjoy fighting. This is what you like to do. Go out there. Be free. In front of your hometown crowd. You're in front of your family. Just be free in this spot. And she seems very, very confident. And when this girl's confident, she performs. And when she performs well. And against Bethe Correia is making improvements as well. But just look at all of this girl's fights, man. Her technical boxing skill is not very good. Her movement is not very good. She's 33-year-old former accountant that lasted less than a minute against Ronda Rousey. That's what she's known for. She doesn't have spectacular wins in the UFC. She's not exactly the toughest girl in the UFC. Well, she is tough, don't get me wrong. But
not the toughest.
She's not the toughest. I feel like against a girl like Jessica Eye, if she's moving forward on Jessica Eye will be happy to move back, counterpunch, and hit her. If she's not moving forward on Jessica Eye will cut her up at distance. And especially being from Stipe's gym, Strong Style Fight Team, look how Stipe won the title. Fabricio Werdum's running forward on him. He backpedals, and he lands on him. I think Jessica Eye is going to use a similar tactic if she tries to bum rush her. If she doesn't, she's going to get pieced up by distance. It's not a great GPP play because I don't really see the finish, but I love it on a cash game.
Last player on your cash team, Sean Spencer. This is one of the ones that I've noticed that was just odd from the pricing in terms of Vegas odds. So Fancy Yancy, is that his nickname?
Fancy Yancy.
Is that his nickname?
No.
It should be.
I think people always say that.
Fancy Yancy is a -140 favorite, but he's 10-5. So a plus 120 favorite for Spencer is not that big of an underdog. Yeah, he's only $8,900. I'm assuming that's why he makes this team.
So actually, Spencer's on the GPP play. The last play on the cash game team is Uriah Faber.
I was looking at the wrong one.
Totally fine. But I mean, they do have similar guys. But for cash game, Fabricio Werdum, Nick Lentz, Jessica I, Stipe Miocic, Uriah Faber. Now, I'd like to apologize to anybody that's watched Bookie Beatdown, because on Bookie Beatdown, I was on Jimmie Rivera. But damn, the more I start thinking about this one.
Jimmie Rivera's the favorite in this fight, though. He's minus 138 on the betting line.
Right. Now, when you look at Jimmie Rivera, he's got 4 fights in the UFC, and he's knocked out one guy, and it was Marcus Brimage. Marcus Brimage was knocked out by most of the guys he's fought in the UFC, including good guys like Conor McGregor and Cody Garbrandt. But Marcus Brimage is very finishable. When Jimmie Rivera gets in a fight with guys that are more durable, right? Guys like Uriah Alcantara, guys like Pedro Munoz, he's not knocking them out. He's landing good stuff on them, but he's not knocking them out. Cast iron jaw would be the way to describe Uriah Faber. Yeah, he's been finished in the past, a long time in the past. This guy is very, very durable. He's coming off 5 rounds against the current 135-pound champion. Prior to that, he went 5 rounds with Frankie Edgar at 145 pounds. The guy's very, very durable, but he's also a finisher because he's got that submission game as well. If he can hit and he can hurt Jimmie Rivera, he can take him down, he can submit him. This guy is a finisher. So it's like Homer Cleese was saying, you want to go on the guys that have traditionally finished his guys in the past. Jimmie Rivera is 19-1, so that's very appealing. And because he's got good footwork and he's a good striker, people are probably going to be picking him. But Uriah Faber is just... Uriah Faber's 37, and Jimmie Rivera's 27. And I know that might scare some people, but he's so much more savvy. He's got so much more experience at a high level that Uriah Faber finds ways to win over lesser talent. And I'm not saying Jimmie Rivera's lesser talent, but you can expose this guy. And what I mean by that is Pedro Munoz lost a split decision to Jimmie Rivera, right? Uriah Faber is infinitely better than Pedro Munoz. Also, Pedro Munoz dropped Jimmie Rivera. He's a no-gi world grappling champion with very limited striking skills. So... take it with all a grain of salt. I really think if
it's
you're going to go...
It's a very close fight. They're both $9,700.
Exactly. And if you want to go for a GPP, that's the biggest thing. In a GPP, Jimmie Rivera has equal chance of beating Uriah Faber. Don't get me wrong. But he's going to beat him by decision. If Uriah Faber wins this fight, and he's a 50-50 to win this fight, I think he's got a much better chance at finishing. GPP, I want to let it ride. Sorry, on a cash game... don't know why I said that, but with a cash game play, Uriah Faber's safe that he won't get finished and just blow this thing open with me. And he has a good chance to finish. Just the more I look at tape on both guys and the more I really think about it, Jimmie Rivera's tiny. Uriah Faber's used to fighting guys much bigger than him. Everything's just playing out for Faber if he's had a good camp. And right now, Team Alpha Male seems to be doing very good. So just to round off that cash game, Fabricio Werdum, Nick Lentz, Jessica I, Stipe Miocic, and Uriah Faber.
All right, let us know about the different adaptations you've made of this GPP team, because a lot of the same people.
Exactly. So obviously I like Fabricio Werdum and GPP. Same thing. I like Nick Lentz. I like Stipe Miocic. So now I got to save a little bit of money elsewhere. We're going to go with Jessica Andrade in the GPP, $9,900. Joanne Calderwood is definitely a superior striker. And if you stand at bay with this girl, she will chew you up. She did the same thing to Valerie Letourneau, and she showed awesome striking. But this is another fight that earlier on in the week when I'm thinking about Calderwood, I'm thinking she's much bigger, she's much stronger, she's much physically imposing. She'll just be able to chew this girl up and hurt her. As we're talking about non-technical girls like Bethe Correia, Jessica Andrade, not exactly the most technical girl, but this is why I like her in a GPP pad. She's a black belt on the ground. She has black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's very, very adequate on the ground, has good submissions. When you look at Joanne Calderwood in her fights in the Ultimate Fighter House, Rose Namajunas, she submits her. When she fights on Marina Moroz in the UFC, she gets tagged with some shots, fight hits the ground, she gets submitted. Submissions are kind of a thing that her Achilles heel. She spent so much time doing Muay Thai. She's a European Muay Thai champion. So much time doing stand-up kickboxing that when the fight hits the ground, she's actually not a fish out of water, but that's definitely where she's not comfortable. When I look at Jessica Andrade is very physically imposing. This is a girl that 2 fights ago was fighting at 135 pounds. Now she fights at 115. She dropped down 2 full weight classes, 20 pounds, and in her last fight, she fought a former title challenger in Jessica Panay and killed her. And I mean knocked her out in the second round, beat her up really, really badly. Prior to that, she just picks these girls up, slams them, gets on them, and pounds them. I think at 115 is a better weight class for her. She's got the style to just run forward, bull rush with wild punches, which is gets Joanne to cover up, fight hits the cage, rip her to the ground, get on top of her, pound her. I think she does have a good shot at finishing. So for a GPP, it's risky, sure, but I'm willing to take that risk that Jessica Andrade is able to get the fight to the ground and maybe even submit a girl like Joanne Calderwood. So I wouldn't play her in a cash game, but in a GPP...
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing as Spencer, then?
Sean Spencer. Now, you'd have to go on DraftKings. This might be a diamond in the rough or blow right in my face, right? On DraftKings, they have a note on Sean Spencer where they basically tell you at $8,900, don't play this guy. They say he's lost his last 2 fights and he's never knocked out a guy in the UFC, so he's not a good fantasy point scorer. In fact, in his career, and you have his record there, he has 2 wins by knockout. Those were the very first 2 fights of his career. He's gone to the UFC, and he's not finishing anybody. So why would you want a guy like that, especially on GPP? Couple reasons here.
Well, it sounds like no one's going to have him.
Nobody's going to have him, especially when DraftKings is blatantly telling you, you probably don't want to play this guy. But the thing with Sean Spencer is, people love just looking at record finders, and they look at Sean Spencer and they say, oh, decision, oh, decision, oh, decision. What you have to factor in, though, is in his last fight against Mike Pyle, which he did get finished in the first round, he drops Pyle. Bad. He's just not able to materialize that finish. But it's a hell of a right hand that puts him down. When you look at his fight against Cathal Pendred, he drops him with a trio of right hands. Bad. Puts him down. But he's not able to materialize that finish. Against Alex Garcia, he doesn't put him down, but he rocks him with the right hand. This guy's fast, he's sharp, and he's got a good right hand. Thing is, when he hits these guys, they're going down. They're just not staying down. And I don't think that's indicative of he doesn't have power. It's just you need some lucky bounces here and there. You need a ref that'll jump in. You need certain things, and Sean Spencer hasn't got it. But to say that he doesn't have power and to say that he doesn't have finishing ability, I think is kind of ludicrous. I don't necessarily mind him. Now, with Yancy Medeiros fights at 155 pounds. He's now coming up to 170.
So the punches have a bit more impact.
Sean Spencer's punches should have that little extra juice that they need to put him down.
I like it.
I know.
I like where you're going with this.
So I'm rolling on a GPP, baby. He's a GPP play. People shouldn't have him. I think Sean Spencer does have some merit. Certainly if you're going to play multiple lineups, I think Spencer's fair to put in some of them.
All right, to finish it off, I just noticed a weird kind of correlation with some of the numbers here. Minus 175, CB Dollaway is 10-9. So is he overpriced in terms of DraftKings, or is he underpriced in terms of betting line?
I think his betting line at minus 170 is fair, maybe just a tad bit pricey, but at 10,700, way too pricey. He's lost his last 3 fights. He has not won a fight in over 2 years. 2 of his last 3 losses he got knocked out in. It's not a great look for CB Dollaway. And he's now moving up from 185 to 205. So the guy hasn't fought in 9 months.
Is there any value on this other guy?
Nah, he's not really a finisher. I did think about it, especially on a cash game team, because he's very cheap. You can squeeze him in. And with CB Dollaway having been knocked out in the past, especially like, dude, I watched him one time get knocked out by Jared Hammett, right? Who's like a former really low level like collegiate football player out of Hawaii who won like a couple fights in the UFC and vanished, right? That guy knocked out CB Dollaway. If you hit CB Dollaway, he can get knocked out. Now that he's jumping up a weight class, you'd think, well, he's going to take on bigger guys. Bigger guys can hurt him even more. So he is risky. He's risky to the tune that 10,700.
Well, it's the same thing with Drew Dober then. It's 11,200, and he has worse odds. I mean, he's a smaller favorite. He's only minus 170.
Drew Dober is in the case that I believe he was supposed to fight Eric Koch on this card. Eric Koch's the guy that trains with CM Punk, so they're obviously going to play that angle of have a couple Duke Rufus guys on. But now he's getting a short notice replacement as well. So when I think it's like they just think to themselves, well, it's a short notice replacement.
Is that a quick knockout, though?
No. Drew Dober's a guy that traditionally, if you look at his fights, it's like that Nick Hine guy. Anybody could tell you Nick Hine's going to win, right? But nobody would be stupid enough to think that he's going to finish because the guy just does not finish. Dober's a tough dude. When Dober loses, sometimes he gets finished. When Dober wins, it's a nip-tuck, tough fight that goes the distance. I think he matches up favorably in the spot. And at minus 160 on the betting line, I like the betting line. I just do not see the DraftKings value.
Well, last guy we got to talk about. Should I be putting CM Punk on AMI GPP teams? $8,000. He's so cheap.
Listen,
I recall last time I went over this and you told me I was crazy. I asked, who was the guy? Mark Hunt that Brock Lesnar faced? Is that the guy's name? Did he have a win over The Undertaker? No, he did not. Brock Lesnar did. That propelled him to victory in that match.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Couldn't the fix be in here and they just want to give Punk a win so they can sell the next card?
That is the real question. I would never want to believe a fix is in. I would never want to speculate a fix is in.
But okay,
when there's that much money on the line,
but
sure.
let's say it's something almost like the McGregor thing, where if it was going to be close, I feel like McGregor was going to win either way. As long as it was relatively close, give it to Conor, have the third fight. It's better to have Conor as a winner instead of having 2 straight losses just for selling purposes if all things are equal. I feel the same way with Punk.
Listen, you're not wrong by no stretch of the imagination. Obviously, there's added investment on him. But that being said, you're relying on 3 judges who may or may not even know who the hell this guy is. And they have to physically sit there, and they have to... I got screwed last week on that Germany card, a couple decisions, right? Like that... well, actually, one went my way. Yarg Stanhope getting the push. Good times. Judo Jimmy Wallhead getting screwed. Not cool. But I noticed it was this like Japanese judge that kept screwing me. And I was like, why is this Japanese guy so on these German fighters? I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but Judo Jimmy got robbed. So, it is what it is. I feel like if the fight's close, it might go in CM Punk's favor. Why? Not necessarily because the fix is in, but because most of the people going there that want to see CM Punk want to see CM Punk.
Although he probably gets booed a lot too, I would guess. I mean, are people pro? Because it seemed like when Lesnar came back, there were people like, oh, Brock Lesnar's coming back. How dare he come back?
When he
but
comes
people
out,
like Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Do people like CM Punk?
When Brock comes out, do you hear the boos?
No.
People are booing, but do you hear the boos? Not really. In CM Punk's case, it's like not only does he have a good fan base, not only are people tuning in to see him specifically, there's going to be a lot of people that have never watched the UFC in their life. They're tuning in specifically to see him. So obviously he's a bit of a big star. But that being said, if you look at Mickey Gall, right? Mickey Gall's walking to the ring and 10,000 people are screaming and noises going on, right? He's a 24-year-old kid who's never experienced anything like that. CM Punk, and laugh at it if you want, the guy's wrestled in WrestleMania. He's been in a venue with 15, 20,000 people.
70,000 people.
70,000 people. So the noise and the lights and the camera and the pressure is not likely to affect him as much as as Mickey Gall. And my biggest thing here is I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people wagering on the fight. I don't know anybody betting anybody betting on Mickey Gall. I don't know anybody betting on Mickey Gall. I know everybody betting against CM Punk. They're literally this Zelda cartridge against CM Punk. They're going to bet the Zelda cartridge because they hate the guy. They think he's awful. They don't think he belongs. They're overlooking the fact that minus 440 Mickey Gall. You have got to be crazy. Sure, he's better than CM Punk, but is he a world beater? I don't think so.
That's probably why they gave him Mickey Gall, right?
You would think so.
Give him a shot to win.
Give him a shot to win. And the thing with Mickey Gall is his fights end so fast that there's not really a whole lot to study. But like I study stuff, put it in slow motion. Go back to his fight on Finding a Fighter. Okay, everyone always laughs at that CM Punk footage where he throws a crappy uppercut. Look at the uppercut Mickey Gall tries to throw. His wrist physically curves, and then he hits the guy with like the bottom of his wrist on the guy's elbow. I don't know what the hell he's trying to do. He's very sloppy, herky-jerky stand-up. And if you look at his fight with Mike Jackson, he crosses his feet in order to throw the right hand. Now Mike Jackson's so awful that it hits him in the mouth and he goes down. And then once Mickey Gall gets on him, he chokes him out. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a tough kid. He seems to be resilient. He's young, so he's going to have good cardio. He's got the drive. He's got the ambition. And he's a brown belt in BJJ. However, he's still an unknown, and you can't make an unknown a 5-1 favorite. You can't. You can't. What if he takes octagon jitters, right, goes out there, starts out hot, and then all of a sudden, I didn't think this fight was going to go 3 minutes. You don't know. People can't say, oh, his cardio is better than that. No, because you actually don't know.
I would wager CM Punk's or Phil Brooks' cardio is probably pretty good.
That's all he's been working on, really. That's all he's been working on. And they released this evolution of Punk, and everyone's talking about it. It's a 4-part mini-series where it shows him training at the gym. And everyone's like, look how awful he is, look how awful he is. First of all, it was a year ago. So he's made improvements. Second of all, why would they release it if he's so awful? Let's just have a laugh at him. Because it's, smoke and mirrors, man. Look how awful he was then. Study this crap of the open workout. Mickey Gall comes out. Everyone on the main card guys that come on do an open workout. Mickey Gall comes out. He does his open workout. Everybody does it. You go out there for 10 minutes and you work out for the fans, right? CM Punk came out for like 50 seconds, 30 seconds, because it's all smoke and mirrors, man. You don't know what to expect. So don't put 5-1 on Mickey Gall. And
should I take a shot on CM Punk on a GPP team?
No, like I would say not. I know some people that are saying that he's going to have one go-to submission, and then he's
just going to try to do it and see if
it
it works?
He's going to try to do it. But I would assume Mickey Gall wins this fight. It's just the line is what I'm mad at. I'm not saying
and it's
CM
very
Punk's
expensive
win.
on DraftKings. 11-4
That's
on
why.
DraftKings.
That's the only reason I'm criticizing it. However, if CM Punk is to win, I would see it just like you were saying. It goes the distance. It's a close fight, and they kind of favor Phil Brooks, CM Punk. That's my 2 cents.
Cool. The Pat Mayo Hour mini version did not turn into a mini version. We're 22 minutes into this.
We need a little air up with like a buzz or like pardon the interruption.
Yeah, we need to do a pardon the interruption style on each of the guys. You get 30 seconds to give
Or
it.
I can just be like...
We're supposed to keep this 10 minutes because I have no time to put this together now.
Okay.
So next week. Is there a card next week?
There's always cards, baby.
Not always.
No, but we're on a stretch of 9 straight weeks, and I think this is like week 3.
Okay, so we got plenty to go through. And I was a bit more open this week with being able to do week 1 preparation. Next week, we're not going to have that luxury.
No. Not at all.
So we'll try to do it quicker next week. I have the time to put this one together. Hope you enjoyed it. Cody Saftik. Follow him on Twitter at CJ Saftik. And for a complete, comprehensive breakdown of each of the fights, you can watch The Bookie Beatdown with Paul Shaughnessy.
Nice.
And follow it on Twitter at Bookie_Beatdown for all the audio versions and video versions, or just tune into the Fight Network and watch it there. And Fantasy Sports Network.
And Fantasy.
It's on both.
I know. I think it's the only show on both.
It is. This is the only show that crosses the YouTube ones.
Dual citizenship.
Yeah, I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME. Thank you for tuning in. If you like football, hey, check out the rest of the Pat Mayo Hour. Lots of football, gambling, fantasy, daily fantasy. Doesn't matter what it is, we have you covered on the football front. At least I do. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
For the latest expert fantasy sports strategy and tips on YouTube, click subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and call your local cable TV provider to order Fantasy Sports Network, or watch us on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Xbox.